Oh, hi everyone. It's great to be here this evening. I just want to share with you something very special right now. And that's today I went to New York chapter of Northern Caribbean University Alumni Day. And so, wow, I met some of my schoolmates. It was such a reunion. I saw some young ones and I saw some baby boomers like myself. And I saw, I would say, older ones. And it was just fun. The reunion was just phenomenal. The speaker, he spoke on honoring heritage, inspiring innovation. And of course, there's so much technology than when I was in school. In my days, many years ago, I graduated. And it was, the singing was super. The messages, the food, everything was just great. But most of all, I must say that the Sabbath school segment for me was just great because the person who led out, I knew her as Shield. I'm not sure I know her name right now, but she was able to identify me as Miriam. I didn't know her first name. And then we started connecting and we started reflecting on some of that her mom, her siblings, mine, just school back in the days. And she mentioned uh, certain principles that they grew up with, and like my mom, some similarities. Growing up in those days was different, but it we didn't have to just stick to those, you know, things that happened then, but we were able to reflect on the positivity of them all, and I just know that how important it is to connect, how important it is to value others, and of course to look back on where you're coming from and the blessings of the Lord on you. So today, I know tomorrow morning I'll be attending a funeral. I'm transitioning, talking about what life is like. So this individual was one of my church sister who passed. And just to know and to encourage those who have had losses recently or even a while, just remember that it can be devastating, but it's also how you cope with it. Now, when we think of grief, we're thinking of grief coming, there are different phases of it. And I'm encouraging you, if you have known someone, to share with them my YouTube site. My YouTube is, you can connect with me at Miriam, Miriam, Amanda, Amanda Smith. That's on YouTube. And I would like you to subscribe. There's some information there that I've sat down and I've put together on grief. Grief can definitely be devastating, but how do you cope with it? So, first of all, remember there are 5 key phases of grief. One, And that one is denial. First, when someone dies or there's a loss, the news is never easy to take. It's always shocking. Seem as if it's not real. All right? It just seems as if it's no, it couldn't be. Then after that you become angry. So the second one is anger. You become angry either with yourself or with the person who passed or with God or whoever you trust in, right? That anger comes on there. You feel very frustrated. You feel like no, it shouldn't be. Then you move on. The third one is bargaining. Wow. Just think of it. Bargaining. I'm here thinking, if I had, what if? Maybe if I had gone sooner, maybe if I was nicer, maybe I was a bit more protective, this might not have happened. Or, if someone else was with that person, for whatever reason, you started really, really feeling very away that you should be bargaining, making a deal. God, if you help me, if you just help me, or if I had just gotten this help or so. So that could be. Then you're going into another phase like depression. Depression can be the heaviest one of the phases because you feel isolated, you feel numb, you feel unmotivated, you feel like the world is running and you're just stuck. Stop. You can't go anywhere. That's the depressive feeling. And that's part of the grieving process. And so therefore, if you should feel like you can't go, you're stuck, you might be isolated, you want to be by yourself, it's okay. But if it's going for a longer period, you might definitely need some help. Of course, what can you do in this position at this time? You can find a trustworthy person, a trusting friend. You might need to go walking. You might need to go find a clergy person. You might need to find someone who you trust, a support group or some means of support. That's in this stage of depression. You need help. You need company. Whatever that is that you need, there's a need right there. Try to foster, get some help. You might need a counselor depending on how you're really feeling. So don't feel badly about it. If you need help, seek help. And lastly, acceptance. You see where I'm coming from? The last phase is acceptance. Wow. You have accepted it. That does not mean that you have forgotten. Now, in the acceptance phase, you're moving forward. You're moving forward in the fact that you have accepted what has happened and you're going to live the legacy of that individual. Say, for example, that person is a positive person. You know that that person has been a role model for you, helped you along, lived a productive life, being active, energetic. That person has so much been an encourager, gave you so much encouragement along the way. and that person have passed on. How are you going to live the legacy of that person? You can, maybe, you can plant a tree in remembrance of that person, the positivity of it. You might decide to write a book. You might decide to journal. There are many things that you might think of because of that person's lifestyle to live on. You might smile again because you might remember some of those jokes of that person or that person's contribution to you in your life. So, whatever that is, you have accepted it. You haven't forgotten, but the memory lives on in a positive way. So, as I said earlier, I'll be attending a friend's funeral tomorrow, and I know there are different seasons because Ecclesiastic 3 says there's a time to die, there's a time to mourn, there's a time to laugh, there's a time to dance. All these different attributes, all different activities. Remember, each person is different. So there goes a time you'll have to try to understand that individuals are different and they might react and they might respond. They can be different timing. So be mindful of that. Don't use someone else's behavior and judge another person. Some people might seem as if they are not grieving. They might be smiling and up and down and seem that way, but in their corners, they are depressed. They are not as happy as you might seem. Or there can be, we would say, there is just a thank you. There might just be something like this. In my country, we would say something like, you know, the sheep is sweating, but the wool covers it. So some people might mask it, when in truth, the only time you understand what the person is going through is sitting down, just listening, or me talking, or encourage the person, go out with the person. You might not have to talk a lot, but you just show support. So there are different ways that you can help someone to cope in these times. If it's not for you, it might be a friend of yours. So I encourage you to be that support person to the person who mourns. And just remember, there's always a time for everything, a time to laugh, a time to mourn, a time to dance, a time just to embrace. Think about that. Have a blessed evening. Have a blessed evening. And for my young nurses, I must add that nurses do go through these phases at times when they have lost their patients, and they have developed that trust, they have developed that relationship with that patient, and to see them go and to see the family and the process of grieving. As I said before, sometimes they don't actually come in sequence, you know. The different behaviors, they don't happen in sequence sometimes. Some might cross over. However, that first one with that denial, people can react so differently. So be mindful of that. Have a blessed week. It's a new week, new opportunities, new challenges. But be prepared for that. I encourage you to pray daily, to give yourself grace, to encourage someone and speak life over yourself. Speak positivity over yourself. And lastly, I must say, but not least, embrace the growth mindset. If something didn't work this way, there are other ways of reaching your goal other than the same. And if at once you don't succeed, try and try again. You can do it. You can do it. Have a blessed and productive, prayerful week. Bye. Now, how can you connect with me? You can connect with me on Instagram at Podcastmir, PODCASTMIR, Mir. On YouTube, it's Miriam Amanda Smith. Please subscribe and share. And of course, on podcast, it's Empowering New Nurses. Empowering New Nurses. They too have their challenges. They too are growing. They too are going to be very successful by complying with principles like following through policies, procedures, and making it a part of their lifestyle. As they grow in the profession, they become experts and proficient individuals in the nursing career. I've been there. I know what I'm talking about. So you can connect with me on my book. My book is on Amazon. That book is Empowering New Nurses in the Delivery of High Quality Care to All Patients. Yes, it's on Amazon, a bestseller. Get your copy. Get a copy for others too. And do your best. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.